What? 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 The gods, Marvel, will you make up your mind? Is this film for everyone or just for women? What's the story, internet? This is Heritage, and this is the continuing coverage of the absolute dumpster fire that is the Captain Marvel PR campaign, headed by Brie Larson and her amazing mouth. As we've seen here in the last clip that I just showed you, this is now to be considered intersectional feminism, the movie, which is, this may as well be a massive big red light sign saying to men, stay away from this film, it's not for you. And ironically, that's what some of the shill websites who are pushing this film have actually been saying. You've got writers from comic book resources and the like coming out saying, this isn't for you, this is for little girls. Now, I'm sorry, I've seen this trope before back in Ghostbusters 2016, where they paraded all these little girls in proton packs out and tried to say, ah, look, isn't this wonderfully inspirational? Well, maybe if you like that sort of thing, but it didn't stop that film being a big team pile of shite, and it's really got me worried about what Marvel's going to turn out to be, particularly as more and more what we've been seeing from the advertising for marketing this, it's that they're pushing it as a feminist film, something they've never done in the MCU before. Nobody ever went to Captain America thinking this is a pro-man film. Nobody went to see Thor thinking it was about Aryan supremacy. So why in the name of God are we supposed to be going to see this thing as some form of empowerment for women and think it's supposed to be a good thing? Moreover, behind the scenes, the PR campaign is kicking into high gear as they're in the last week and it's going to be opening in about 4 days. Every Access Media rep that they have is out there front and centre pushing this film for as much as they can get. Now, we need to remember one thing when it comes to the film critics. They're bought and paid for. The days when a film critic could independently stand there and state what he or she thinks of a film is long gone. If it's politically incorrect to hold a particular view, it's not going to be stated. We saw that with Ghostbusters 2016. We saw that with Black Panther, when one Irish journalist said it was just okay, bringing the overall Rotten Tomatoes score down to 99, and the entire left freaked out in America, accusing the guy of being misogynistic, racist, bigot. I hate to break it to you, America, but we don't have a huge problem with racism with black people in this country. Just to give a heads up to you guys, I am in Ireland. And multiculturally, it's still only a relatively new thing here, and most of the people in this country of different ethnic backgrounds being the first generation of people from their countries coming here. So the notion that there was some lad in the Irish Times or in the Irish Independent lying in wait to spew forward some KKK-fueled speech is just laughable. What it does illustrate, though, is that the media is terrified of losing the narrative on this one. And as I said, all these media journalists, all these reviewers are going to these things paid for by Disney, paid for by their respective companies. They're not punters. They're not putting their money down. They're not like you and me, going in with our hard-earned shekels to pay over and watch a film. And this actually skews how they do their business. Now, ordinarily this doesn't matter because they're supposed to judge these films on a metric. Editing, plot, character arcs, special effects, production values, all that sort of stuff. But as we know, seeing this is a politically charged film now, that's all going out the window, and no matter what, you're going to see a 99% of this on Rotten Tomatoes when it finally does put up the results. I guarantee you when the audiences go, it'll probably be about 60%, 70%, depending on what it's like. Because let's be brutally honest, this could still be a good film. It's entirely possible to separate the artist from the role. Brie Larson might be a twat, but that doesn't mean that the script is bad. That doesn't mean that the film is bad. So I will be going to see this. I know there's a boycott going on. I know a lot of people are really pissed off about what this says and what they have for fear is going to happen to the future of the MCU. But I want to be able to authoritatively come back and say whether it's good, whether it's bad, and whether what we fear, that this intersectional feminism, that this female empowerment, that all these things that seem to cast all normal storytelling conventions out the window in lieu of woke politics is in this film or not. I will say though, that up until recently, I really didn't have that much of a problem going in to see this film. I'm starting to get a bit worried now, because just to let you heads up, I was a comic book fan. I've been reading Marvel comics since I was 4 or 5 years of age. And what I've seen done to that industry, what I've seen done to those beloved characters, gives me a great deal of trepidation about where we're going if Captain Marvel is deemed to be a success and they intend to inject more of this woke politics to the MCU. If it does happen, then you're looking at a situation where Captain America is going to be a Nazi, where Iron Man is going to be put into a coma so a little 15-year-old black girl can take over his role, where Thor is going to be rendered unworthy so a militant feminist dying of breast cancer can step into the role. And the Hulk will be killed and replaced by an Asian bloke. I'm not kidding. All this happened about 3-4 years ago in the comics, and that's why so many people in the community are utterly terrified about where this may be going for the MCU. That's been built up over the last 10 years, that a lot of people are seriously investing in, that succeeded far beyond most people's expectations. Nobody thought we'd get a Captain America trilogy that would work so well as a box set. Nobody thought that Thor would work. Thor, of all things, that should have been a complete dumpster fire. Instead, it turns out to be fantastic. And of course, the Avengers and sequels turning out to be some of the best comic book cinematic entertainment that we've ever seen, and we're absolutely proud to have. So just wanted to do a small video on this one just to try and keep up to date with what's going on. It's insane, as I said. I've never seen anything like this. Ghostbusters 2016 had its fair share of controversy, but we did not have as bipolar a PR campaign as we've had with Captain Marvel. We've never seen a star have to come out and say that she doesn't hate white people 3 times and have to endure so many articles from so many different websites talking about what a woke and progressive and powerful and empowering moment this is from a bunch of shills who, to be honest with you, don't seem to have a lot of good things to say about the film that they've seen. I think the most hilarious aspect of this, though, is the constant cries of misogyny and hatred and you just don't like women at a time when Alita Battle Angel is throttling it at the cinemaplexes. This is the film that the critics hated, didn't like at all, but audiences are coming out in their droves, which is now smashed through the 350 million worldwide box office internationally. And is beloved by the same set of people that we're told don't like strong female characters. So it just doesn't add up there. Gotta say, I do actually love the fact that this is completely ruining their narrative, because they'd love nothing more to say that we're just a bunch of hate-filled fanboys. But the reality is, this is just an unmitigated dumpster fire of a marketing campaign. Somebody somewhere is going to get sacked over this, and somebody somewhere is going to be taking an awful lot of notes to make sure that they don't do it again. I can only imagine how much money it's going to cost them to do the research and all this to find out the very simple truth. Stop telling the vast majority of your audience that they're not welcome. So there you go, boys and girls. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you like, give us a like and a thumbs up. And if you can, subscribe. Have a good one. Take care.